my dear friend Rajalakshmi Joshi from Mumbai. Rajalakshmi, thank you so much for helping us have Sir here today in this session and blessing you, Raipur. About Rajalakshmi, it's a really long list if I have to talk about her. She's a TEDx speaker, a motivational speaker, a corporate trainer, life coach, the BJP intellectual cell head for Konkan Zone, an architect and interior designer, a writer, editor, environmentalist. The list doesn't stop here, guys. Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao head for Thane district, political analyst and a social activist as well. She's also a television panelist on many popular TV channels like The Republic, Z News, Times Now, CNN, and India TV. She is like a daughter to Dr. Swamy. It would be only fair if I ask Raj Lakshmi to give the right introduction to the man himself, who doesn't need any introduction, but still we need to do these formalities for the show's sake. So beyond which we will start the session, and sir will have a keynote for 30 minutes followed by a Q&A by us. So Raj Lakshmi, over to you now.
Namaste, namaskar to everybody, and thank you so much, Prashant, for for giving us this opportunity, for giving me the opportunity to once again introduce Dr. Swamy. But I would say that this is a huge challenge always. You give me a short time, say 2 to 3 minutes. That is a very short time to introduce a personality like Dr. Subramanian Swamy. His introduction can go into pages and pages. So it is, but yes, due to shortage of time, I'll just give a brief introduction of this. So Dr. Swamy, Dr. Subramanian Swamy is very well known. He has a lot of titles, in his favor. Like he is often called as the, anti-corruption Yodha. He is called as the Hindu Hriday Samrat, and he's called as the economic Chanakya and a nuclear strategist also. So there are so many titles to his given to him, and as all of us know, he is a 6-time member of parliament, 3 times from Rajya Sabha, 3 times from Lok Sabha, out of which twice he has been from Amchi, Mumbai. So, I mean, this is something that, not many people can achieve. And most people mistake him to be an advocate by profession, which he is not actually. But even then, he has fought the most difficult of cases. He has put up cases against so many, high-placed individuals, against so many different difficult cases that only he could have pursued, and that only he could have won, and only he could have brought to a logical conclusion. Like a couple of them, I would say, is this case of Ram Setu, which is today existent only because of Dr. Swamy. And this case of the Ram Mandir, which is like something that, it is a long-standing dream of most of us, that today, that case came up. It was a possibility only because he was able to bring it back to life. He brought up the cases of benefits to the tourists, and and about his fundamental right to prayer, and with all these kind of thinking outside the box and those kind of solutions, he has made sure that this long-standing dream is now going to be a reality. And another thing that most of us need to remember is that Dr. Subramanian Swamy is the person behind putting a lot of our political biggies into this bail gadi. So he is the only political leader who has had the courage and the might to pursue all these cases, to pursue a lot of different cases that also, most of them are into corruption, and even about cases like, especially about, say, Mr. Shashi Tharoor, all kinds of cases. And now recently he's going to pursue the case of actor Sushant Singh Rajput also. So he is somebody who is very much keen to make sure that justice prevails, and that there is no corruption. And also at the same time, he is somebody who has always, given us this guidance of inculcating the right mindset. The right mindset, as per him, is the most basic thing that we all lack, and this our pride in our own identity, and that is what sets him apart from most of the other leaders of today. So he is a one man army, and who can guide us in so many different aspects, whether it may be about political aspects, whether it may be about international affairs. Like, he is like an expert on affairs related to US and China. And when it comes to China, there is one small secret of his, that he was given a challenge by somebody that he should learn Mandarin in 1 year, in less than a year, and he did it in 3 months. That is something that only he could have done. And another thing about him is that he is such a genius that he finished his PhD from the Harvard University at the young age of 24, and that too in 2.5 years. I mean, he has always been this genius, and somebody who has always shown a very different and a very a difficult path that most people may even not choose to follow. So he has, even if he is the only person pursuing a particular thing, he has never looked back, and he has taken on even biggies. Like during the emergency, he stood up very strongly against Indira Gandhi, and he even disguised himself as a Sardar. And those stories are, we can go on and on with all those stories, but then we don't have the time. I'm sure that somebody might have asked him this question, so that we can come out with these secrets from Dr. Swamy. So there are, and you must all be aware that during this pandemic, he has given us a very important mantra about how to thrive even during the pandemic. And he is the only leader who has made such a fantastic use of this time, that he has been doing a series called Gyan Ganga, words of wisdom, which only he could have done, because he covers a different topic every day with such great intellectuals, with such full of such wisdom every day, that this is something that one should not miss. And this is something that he has been passing on this wisdom to people from more than 100 countries, more than 100,000 of viewers every day. So this is such invaluable treasure of knowledge that he has been passing on to everybody every day. So hats off to Dr. Subramanian Swamy, and I'm sure that there cannot be any person better than him to tell us how, what would be the roadmap to Bharat 2030, and he could guide entrepreneurs and policy makers and everybody alike about how India can become this Vishwa Guru, and all of us can become Virat Hindus, like Dr. Swamy always says. So I request Dr. Swamy to give us please all this guidance, and we are all looking forward to a great session, a great inspiring session. Jai Hind.
Well, do I start?
Yes, please.
Okay. By the way, I did my PhD in 1.5 years. Not too much.
1.5. I'm so sorry.
No problem. The topic is Bharat to 2030, the road ahead. Well, 2030 is roughly 10 years from now. Our former president Abdul Kalam had hoped we'd reach a target of becoming a developed country by 2020. But there were so many other events which came in the way, and therefore it couldn't be done. But I think 2030 also We are already in the world with the third largest GDP, the third largest military force, military both weapons and in terms of personnel. And we have got the probably the youngest population in the world, average age of 26, when the Chinese average age is 35, and the Americans 37, the Europeans 46 years, and Japanese 50. Japanese is really an aging population. So the young population is in fact as good as our capital. We also have other potentials. So that is what I'm going to discuss, how to put these potentials together and have the appropriate economic policy and social policy and international policy by which India can be by from 2030 a developed country. And we could overtake China in this 10 years. So basically, we would have a then number 2 position with the United States. And if we continue this way, then by 2050, we'll overtake the United States also. And India was once upon a time the most developed country in the world, up to 1750 AD. For thousands of years, India was the most developed country in the world, and everybody acknowledged it. People used to come from far away to trade with us. And so, once again, to become a developed country is not a surprise. We have also demonstrated that we are genuinely a democratic country, because when the emergency was declared and democracy was suspended, Mrs. Gandhi, being forced by the activities of the underground, which is largely, organized by the RSS, and I was one of the people who was underground those days, both abroad and India. I twice went abroad and came back twice. So therefore, when Mrs. Gandhi thought that she now, because of the silence which was there, she decided to hold elections thinking that she would win the elections. And almost everybody predicted that India would be like Mrs. Gandhi, because it's a poor country and she has made a lot of arrangements for people's needy people's wants. So therefore, her winning the elections was certain, and people used to say you need a minimum education to be able to appreciate democracy. But when the results came out, it was just the opposite. The most educated part of India was the four southern states of Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka, and Andhra. And they all voted for Mrs. Gandhi, and she got almost a clean sweep of the southern states. But the most uneducated part of India, which was UP, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Himachal, Haryana, Punjab, these all voted overwhelmingly. In fact, in UP, the Congress couldn't get a single seat. In Bihar, they couldn't get a single seat. In Madhya Pradesh, they couldn't get a single seat. Rajasthan, they got one seat. Haryana, same thing, not a single seat. So it was then accepted in the world that this country is truly democratic, because in a situation like this, where the uneducated or largely uneducated or the poor people, they came and voted and defeated Mrs. Gandhi. Mrs. Gandhi lost her own elections. So let's not forget this. And so, as far as democracy is concerned, we will be a democratic country. There may be people who might try to tamper it here or there, but the public will teach them a lesson. So 2030 also will be a democracy. And the question is, what do we want to be in 2030? I would say we should be at least in the first 3 of the world, if better if we are in the first 2. And what should we do for that? So I will devote my remainder of my talk to what we should do to become a number 2 country after the United States, ahead of China, and how fast should we grow? In my opinion, if we can grow at 10% per year in GDP, continuously from say 2021, 2022, etc. up to 2030, then we will overtake China. The gap which today China has with India was really because during the 90s, 1990s, and the first 10 years of this 21st century, they had a faster growth rate than India. And that was because we continued till 1990, we continued to have the Soviet economic model, which China had jettisoned in 1980 itself. And we held on to it. Of course, then the Soviet Union collapsed, and there's no Soviet Union